Hello, welcome to Learning to Drum. I'm your host, Adam Tevlin, and welcome back to this week's episode in week 42, episode 39. That's right, we're getting right up there. And after this episode, there's going to be 10 weeks left in the season. So think about that. Only 10 weeks left after this. Last week, what we did was reviewed the flamadiddle. And we did study number 19, and of course, the flamadiddles, just keep working on those. And we tested the single drag tap. Welcome back, and if this, of course, is your first time watching, go back to episode 1. Hang out with us if you want, though, because we're going to go right into solo number 8. And again, we're going to get more and more experienced with this cut time, new time signature that we've been doing lately. And this gives you somewhat of an idea of what cut time might be like in real music, okay? But before we get into solo number 8, we are going to test the Ratamacue. Oh, yeah, okay. Uh-oh, yeah, do you remember that one? Well, where test tempo was at 150, but we'll start at 130, and then do 140, and then, of course, our test tempo. Now, I have my metronome dialed up in 4/4 time, so I have the high click on every 4. You really don't need that. Okay, right? Okay, here we go. 2 130. 1 2. Here we go. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too bad for you. Going up to 140. Hopefully you did okay on 130, but if not, then you can always push pause, right? We're taking it at your pace, okay? 1 2 1 2. Here we go. All right, cool. So if you can get that far, let's see if you can get all the way up to 150. All right, so let's try. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Here we go. Okay, there it is. How did you do? Hopefully you did okay on that. And like I said, and I keep reiterating this, we're taking it at your pace. So fret not if you don't have it at 150, that just could be a goal that you're still shooting for. And if you can play it faster than 150, whatever, sky's the limit for you. So, and as far as speed is concerned, does speed matter? Does speed make you a better drummer? Yes and no. I've mentioned this before, with the single stroke roll, sometimes it's not about speed because you want to find out where that fine line is between stroking the drum and where the rebound starts to kick in. Well, as far as speed, now let's look at it two different ways. One way is, let's say, an athlete. There are some athletes that can run faster than other athletes. Does that make the other athlete or athletes that run slower bad athletes? No. Especially like, let's say, with the drums. In my younger years, I would think, oh, my paradiddles are faster than that person's, or oh, that person can do this and I can't, things like that. And you can't really let that get you down. Inspiration's one thing. You find out that this other person can do something and you want to be able to do that. That's inspiring. Yes, go for that. But if you're trying to compare apples and oranges from one drummer to yourself, that's not going to really fly. So speed, okay, is it important? Yes, because yes, it's going to enable you to do things that you're maybe eventually going to have to do in a real life scenario, right? But on the other hand, there's this competition, world fastest drummer, and who knows where I think it's over 1,200 strokes now, and I can't do that, and most drummers can't do that. So, but does that make everybody else that can't do that a bad drummer? No. So if you can't get at the 150, don't worry about it. Again, sky's the limit as far as speed. It is up to you. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to say. I thought that, let's say, for instance, my paradiddles, I was like, oh, I can't get them faster than that. I've been spending weeks and they're just not getting faster, and I'm still at the same rate. And, you know, eventually that plateau does happen again to where you'll just start going boom. And you'll notice, oh, wow, I'm noticing something about my muscles that I didn't before. Or my muscles are capable of doing these things now that I wasn't able to do before. So just keep all that in mind when it comes to speed, you know. All right, so now, without further ado, let's go on to solo number 8. And we're getting our real-time feel of what cut time is going to be like in real music here. And if you notice up at the top, we have a new terminology. When you see the word Marcia, and that's usually how it's pronounced, just depending on the country that you're in. But in this case scenario, most of the time I'm hearing it as Marcia, but really what it translates to is march, okay? And what a march is, everybody knows what a march is, right? So basically, in a lot of marches, they're written in cut time because they're conducted in 2, right? Dun dun ga dun dun bum 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 dun dun bum dun bum. Kind of sounds familiar, huh? Yeah, it does actually. We're going to talk about that in just a sec. So this solo is set at a march tempo, and typically a march tempo would be 120 beats per minute, okay? And typically marches are conducted in 2, but I've seen them written in 4/4, 2/4, 6/8. What is 6/8? We'll get into that later. And cut time, all right? So in this case scenario, we do have a march in cut time. And if you notice, a little bit below that, we have a little note to ourselves, which is the DC, da capo. You remember that? On solo number 5, I think it was solo number 5, we had a da capo, right, to the head, and play to the coda sign and then take the coda section. Well, in this case scenario, we have a DC al fine. So we had a DS al fine earlier, dal segno al fine, went back to the sign, played to the end. Well, this case scenario is going to go back to the beginning and play to where it says fine. And again, fine in Italian means end. Now, the rudiments that are going to be featured are the flam and the flam paradiddle. They are optional. Flam paradiddles or the flamadiddle is not going to be that fast in this, okay? As a matter of fact, their quarter notes and cut time really felt as 1/8 notes, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and play this solo at tempo for you so you can hear how it sounds. It should sound familiar for you. We'll see, okay? All right. I'm going to go ahead and get my metronome to 120, and I'm just going to do the quarter notes and making sure that I have the high click on one of every 2. Okay? All right. Here I go. You don't have to play, just listen. 1, 2, 1, 2, here I go. That's it. Okay, so did it sound familiar to you? It sounds kind of like a familiar march that you might have heard, especially if you're raised in the United States, which is Stars and Stripes Forever by John Philip Sousa. He's a very famous composer and conductor from the United States. He's written many marches, more than I could even probably count, and he lived from 1854 to 1932. And this solo kind of reminds us of Stars and Stripes Forever. Listen to it. Da ba 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 da ba 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 ba. Real bad singer, I'm sorry, but you get the idea. This is not literally the music, though, for Stars and Stripes. His snare drum part was a little bit more involved, but really I took from the main rhythm points of that song, just so that way this is familiar to you in some way or fashion, right? So let's break this down here, and we'll break it down 4 measures at a time, and we'll dial our metronome down to, let's try 90. Let's see if we can do that. Da dum bum 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 bum. Okay, 1, 2, a 1 and 1 and 2 and 1. All right, here we go. First 4 measures. 1, 2, here we go. No big deal, huh? All right, great. Well, going on, we have the next 4 measures. 1, a 2, and 1, a 2, and 1 E, and a 2, and 1, and 2, and. Okay, so next 4 measures. And we drop it down to mezzo forte, right? Here we go, mezzo forte. 1, 2, next 4 bars, and go, and 1. 1 E, and a 2, and 1, and. All right, no big deal. The next 4 bars, we got 1, a 2, and 1, a 2, and 1 E, and a 2, and 1, and 2, and. Okay, so the next 4 bars, we'll just keep moving right along. All right, 2, here we go. 1, a 2, and 1, a 2, and 1 E, and a 2, and 1, and 2, and. Okay, all right, so now after that, we drop down to piano there on measure 13. Take in mind, we're going to go from piano to forte, right? Let's go ahead and just do those first 4 bars and see how that's going to feel. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and here we go and 1 and 2 okay, all right, and then from there we get back down to piano, right? So since we already kind of went over that, let's try the next 4 bars. Ready? 1, 2, ready, play. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay, so you can see the double accent there from the end of 2 on measure 19 to the downbeat of 1 there in measure 20. All right, we're cooking along through the solo. The solo's not really that long. It's just to give you an idea of what cut time really feels like. And typically, yes, these are the type of rhythms that I'm usually seeing in cut time in the music that I'm seeing, okay? Next 4 bars, 1 and a 2 and 1 and a 2 and 1 E and a 2 and 1 and 2 and. All right, and we stay in at forte this time. Okay, 1, 2, here we go, and 1 and 2, and. Okay, no big deal. And then we finish out that phrase there, 1 and a 2 and 1 and a 2 and 1 E and a 2 and 1. All right, next 4 bars. 1, 2, 1, 2, here we go, and. No big deal. All right, now after that, we're going to get into some flammadiddles. Notice that they're in 1/8 notes, right? And or quarter notes in cut time. Really on this one, it's kind of weird because what we have is we got flammadiddle, flammadiddle, flam. Okay, and we're dropping down to mezzo piano there, right? Okay, so the first 4, we're starting at that flammadiddle there at measure 29. Here we go. 1, 2, here we go, and. Oh, we went on just a little bit, but that's okay. We're getting into the next set of 4 bars where we're getting into more flammadiddles. And then we have a little tricky thing there. It's a variated, of course, ending of the phrase. So we got, okay, no big deal. All right, so let's do those next 4 bars. Here we go. 2, 1, 2, mezzo forte, and play, and. Okay, there we go. Now the next 4 bars is we got a flammadiddle and then flam ba da da ba 1 and a 2 and, right? We repeat that again, okay, right? Repeat previous 2 measures. Remember that sign, and then we'll discuss the next 4 bars after we play these. Okay, starting at measure 37. 2, 1, 2, here we go. Okay. There we go into the next 4 bars. All right, so the next 4 bars is pretty self-explanatory. The last bar is a little different, right? 1 E, a 2, and. So be very careful on that. And then we're not going to go back up to the top just yet because we're going to do that when we play everything at 90. But we're just going to do those 4 bars and then we'll be ready to play the whole thing. So last 4 bars. 1 and a 2 E and a 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and a play, and. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Okay, cool. So that is solo number 8. Now we're going to try everything at 90 beats per minute. You can always push pause and go back if you wanted to, if you're not being able to hang. But I'll just let you hear what it sounds like at 90. You can join along with me if you'd like. Here we go, from the top. 1, 2, 1, 2, here we go. There it is, the whole thing at 90. All right, so we've got our work cut out for us, okay? And if you didn't get there at 90, that's okay, that's something to shoot for. And this is all we have for this week on Learning to Drum. Thanks so much for joining me once again. Well, next week we're gonna be doing some more things, so stay tuned. I'm your host, Adam Tevlin, and always remember to keep swinging those sticks.